Welcome to Showboys, a podcast that delves into the world of film and TV. Hosts Nick and Mike take their water cooler talk from the office to the web as they discuss their favorite movies, shows, and all other content in between. In this week's episode, the boys catch up on what they have recently watched and what they're currently diving into. So, what's watching? Welcome to another episode of the Showboys. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Nick. How's it going, Nick?
It's going good. How are you?
Doing well. Can't complain. You know, got a little pupper. So that's been fun.
So you can complain.
I'm trying not to. He did
Okay,
wake me up
that's
at
good.
5:30 in the morning this morning.
Oh, well, that's not terrible. You're already assuming the dad role of taking care of the dog.
Yeah, it's rough. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I took him outside, and the good thing I did, because I mean, like, as soon as I opened the door, you know, it's like little doggy butthole like started doing the like poop's about to come out thing.
Oh no.
So it was like just in the nick of time. Stood out there in the freezing cold for several minutes waiting for him to try to pee, and he didn't pee. And I was like, so help me, if we go inside and you pee, I'm gonna be so mad. And wouldn't you know, because as soon as I let him off his leash, he peed like a huge puddle. And then I was angry because I was woken up and it was 5:30 in the morning, and I just stood outside in the freezing cold, and he didn't pee. So like I like grabbed him and like, you know, shamed him, put his nose like right by him, like, you can't do this. Don't. We were just outside. You got to pee outside. And he peed while I was doing that, and I was like, I didn't even think you had any more pee in you, but so
There's
yeah.
always a little bit more.
Yep. So yeah, I got to clean up 2 large puddles of pee at 5:30 in the morning.
Doesn't that make jumping back in the bed though that much more rewarding after you were staying out in like the 18-degree weather?
Yeah, but like since it took so long and I had to like clean and stuff, like I kind of like woke up, which sucked. But I have this amazing skill of just literally being able to fall asleep at like moment's notice. So I was able to get back to sleep. But the day before, well, I don't know. I think it was the day before. We didn't hear him barking in the morning, or he didn't bark. But he did poop in his cage, so that was fun.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Poop where you sleep.
Hey, you know, I've tried it before and wasn't a fan. But
Craig's just stoned right now. He's like
pulling our leg.
He's been doing drugs. That's why he had that sketchy entrance there.
Craig, you gotta get your act together, man.
Get your crap together.
Yeah. Unclog those ears so you can hear us. Yeah. To answer your question, after a little technical difficulty there, I'm doing well. I'm really excited about some of the things that we've been discussing behind the scenes for the podcast. Just got done actually like an hour ago. I just finished making a little appearance on our friend of show, I can say, Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. He put together a live show tonight that just ended about an hour ago called The Pod Chatters. And it was pretty fun. There's about 9 of us on the call or on the stream, and we just kind of talked about our podcasts and things we've learned and things that we like about podcasting. Got to learn about, several other podcasts. Got to meet some new people, so it was pretty fun. But yeah, back to us, because we are what matters. Got a lot of exciting things coming up, don't we, Nick?
Tons of things, just trucking right along.
Just literal tons of announcements coming out. If you, follow us on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen the post over the last several days. We are pleased to announce that we will be beginning live streaming our episodes soon. We have a date in mind, but I don't want to throw it out there in case it doesn't work in time. But be on the lookout. We are going to be live streaming the recording of our episodes on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. Most likely to Facebook, but maybe to YouTube. We haven't decided which platform to utilize yet, but basically you'll be getting a video live stream of us recording our weekly episode. We're excited to do this. It's fun for us, but also for the listener. If you're able to tune into the live stream, you'll be able to kind of join in on the discussion. You can leave comments that we'll be able to see in real time and be able to read and answer. So you can contribute to our episodes. So I'm really excited about that and looking forward to talking to other people who aren't Nick. Just kidding. I love talking to Nick.
Boo.
Yeah, you'll get to see our lovely faces. We'll be able to upload the video versions of our episodes on YouTube instead of just the audio like we have been. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And you may have noticed some other announcement teaser posts for a certain special thing.
Well, you can say the certain special thing.
I know. I'm just really trying to build it up. Build the anticipation.
Just save it for some random timestamp during the middle of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you feel about this certain special thing that is going live today?
I think it's one of my favorite things that kind of just came out of nowhere all of a sudden.
Yes, I will agree.
Yeah, because I feel like we do a fair amount of planning and thinking about the podcast and the future of the podcast. And I mean, this one was just kind of under our noses. And then I feel like you out of the blue kind of just decided this would become a bigger thing in the Showboys ecosphere. And it's working really well.
Yeah, I think maybe during one of our little planning sessions, maybe I tossed the idea out in a passing sentence or whatever, and it was just hey, why don't we do this sometime? And we were both like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then we never talked about it again. But yeah, we decided finally to. I'm still not going to say what it is yet because I'm really going to let the tension build. But we use this program for our meetings, like we were just talking about. We use it for recording. We're using it right now to record this episode. And we thought, why not try to fully utilize this for our community and our listeners and ourselves? So yeah, what's the big announcement, Nick? What's launching today?
Well, today we are officially opening our Discord to the public.
That's right.
Showboys Discord. The Showboys Discord will now officially be a community where we can lure you all in to just bask in all that is Showboys.
That's right. We got tons of channels. We're really excited. Memes. I mean, really, that's the only draw to our Discord, I think, is the meme content, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, we just thought that this would be a great place to further build our community and be able to engage and interact with you guys who listen. it's going to be a really fun place. We're really looking forward to getting to chat with you all, and it'll be a cool place where you can make suggestions. You can interact with other listeners about episodes that we do or anything really. And yeah, I'm really excited. So that's right. Showboys Discord server is now a community server, and it is live and waiting for you to join. So in the episode description, we will have a link to our server. Please join. It's free. It's fun. It'll be a great place for you to get to know us better and us to get to know you, and all sorts of other kind of engagement and interactions. So yeah, now we got that out of the way. What do you want to talk about
Man,
tonight,
what's
bro?
watching, What's been watching? I feel like it's been a while since we've done a general what's watching, but I also feel like it wasn't that long ago. I can't remember.
It does feel like it's been a while. We've had I guess I could look at our topic log here. Well, we definitely haven't done it in 2021 yet. That's for
Well,
sure.
perfect. I like to squeeze one of these in a month along with like the what's playing.
Yeah.
I feel like we might eventually get to a cadence where what's watching might lull a bit. I don't know. I just feel like we might have a lot of stuff to talk about as time goes on. But yeah, anyways, just dive into like what's watching. So Mike, what have you been watching?
Man, that's such a huge question. Before we dive into that, even there is another announcement that we need to tease that I don't think we're quite ready to fully announce yet. But you brought up, our episode cadence. Each month we're kind of falling into a rhythm. We really, enjoy having our pointed and very specific episodes about certain topics. Obviously, we love doing that. We loved having Mick from Scene Snobs on last week, with him being like our first interview episode. That was super fun, and I'm really looking forward to doing that more with other podcasters or content creators, or who knows, maybe down the line we can get like some directors or actors or writers or you name it. I want to do it, so hopefully that's something that we can continue to do. We do have another fun episode coming up soon with another fellow podcaster that have met and have had a lot of fun with. We love talking about what's playing, and we've kind of unintentionally like had a what's playing episode once a month since we've started, so we're going to make a point to intentionally have a what's playing once a month. And we might have picked up a new co-host to do that series with us, and I'm really excited.
The first of many.
That's right. Yep. One of the Showboys staff is growing, and it's exciting. He fits in really well. We've had him on before. He's great person, good friend, video game enthusiast, and a good podcaster. So really glad that he's going to be coming on and helping us out with that series. But yes, back to your question. What is watching? I mean, if you've listened to any of our episodes over the last 2 or 3 months, a large chunk of what I'm watching is Star Wars. So not going to go into super specifics because we talk about it so much, unless you have any questions for me, Nick. But I finished Clone Wars, finally, the series and the movie. As soon as I finished Clone Wars, I picked Rebels back up. I had previously stopped after the season 2 finale. when I was texting you while watching it, when Ahsoka's fighting Vader and she finds out it's Anakin and everyone's like, oh snap, what's going on? And then Maul blinds Kanan and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like texting you, I'm like, man, this is so awesome. It would probably be like way more awesome if I actually had context and like really knew and understood what was going on. And you're like, you're right. That actually would make it way more awesome. You should stop and go watch the prequels and watch Clone Wars. So that's what I did. Clone Wars, those 7 seasons long. So it took some time. Finally finished it though. And that allowed me to get back to Rebels, which I finished 3 days ago. And that was great. I loved it. I love both those animated shows. They're so great. Last night, I continued on. I did my rewatch of Rogue One since, story wise, timeline wise, that kind of fits right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were telling me, kind of Rogue One and the original trilogy, kind of squeeze in between like the last scene of Rebels and like the epilogue. Like I don't know if they were like post credit scene or something. So I watched on Disney Plus. So, but like the last scene of Rebels and then like the scene with Ahsoka looking at Sabine and being like, hey, giving her the nod, like, hey, let's go. So Rogue One was last night. I had already seen it, saw it in theaters when it released, and really enjoyed it the first time I watched it with absolutely no idea of what was going on because I hadn't really watched any of the Star Wars stuff. But last night, like I was texting you, I always text you while I'm watching Star Wars stuff if you haven't noticed, which is probably really annoying or really.
That's how I know where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so much better having all the context of Clone Wars and Rebels. Saw some cool cameos, text you. I heard Chopper and kind of saw him scurry along in like a really fast like background, like as the camera's panning. I was like, I know that droid's voice from anywhere. He's my dude. So that was cool. And then like I was texting you that and I was like, man, I wish I could see like a live action passing shot of Hera or something. And you're like, oh, don't worry, they say her name. And like literally right after you text me that, like they're like Captain Syndulla, like over the intercom.
Yeah, boy.
I was like, oh my gosh. You see a few shots of the Ghost just hiding out in the background, or like in the fight by the shield at the very end, which was really cool.
I love that space battle. That space battle's so good.
It was really cool. I was also texting you about just the progression of Saw Gerrera throughout Clone Wars and then Rebels and then Rogue One, and just like his descent into madness and being like basically a rebel terrorist or like zealot extremist.
Yeah, and you made a good point. Like his character in Rogue One makes a lot more sense once you know his background. He's not some like just baddie insurgent, like once you know his context and story.
Yeah, it definitely does, and it's like kind of sad, but then at the same time you kind of understand how his character progressed. But I wonder how many of the like Star Wars fan base like watched the animated stuff, right? Is that like a thing that the majority of Star Wars fans do, or just like the ones that want to go deeper?
I mean, even I was a sleeper on Rebels for a long time, and it was actually my brother-in-law who watched it, right? And he kept telling me how good it was. And then finally I started watching it and I had to agree. So I think not your everyday Star Wars fan watches it, and I would even say really big Star Wars fans don't watch them. It's kind of like hit or miss how far they go into like that material. But I think more and more, especially with Mandalorian now, there's a lot of cause story wise to go back and watch those, especially Rebels. Just because those storylines are being continued in new stuff. So before it was just kind of like the cartoon shows, and technically Rebels was made. I feel like Rebels was on the right at the very beginning of Disney, or like I feel like it was produced in between the transition there.
Yeah.
So obviously, like Dave had his story arcs, but like the future of Star Wars was still unknown. But now that there's all this stuff that forward connects with it, it has just kind of really solidified itself as a key thing that I think any kind of dedicated Star Wars person should watch.
Yeah, and I mean, especially now that you know what they're trying to do with the Star Wars expanded universe. Spoiler alert, the Wednesday we have our second episode of the newscast coming out, and I'm sure this will be something we talk about briefly there, but I had just came across an article before we started recording, saying that Disney is planning on trying to make the Star Wars extended universe as big as the MCU.
Oh yeah, you can tell that the names they're bringing on.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we have been talking about basically since the Mandalorian episodes, right? We kind of saw this coming with Favreau, and then the news of Kevin Feige, and then like you see the Taika Waititis and like all the other people who've appeared in Marvel movies or directed or produced or written Marvel stuff are joining Favreau on the Mandalorian, and getting their own chance and crack at shows and movies for Star Wars. So kind of saw it coming. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone, but with that being said, it kind of like shows how important shows like Clone Wars and Rebels are, and hopefully people will go back and revisit, because I mean, yeah, Rebels is kind of childish. Clone Wars starts out a little childish, but like by the halfway point of both series, or even sooner, they're like, all right, we're just kind of going for the Star Wars fan now. We're trying to tell a Star Wars story.
Yeah, and I would say when Clone Wars first came out, everyone that liked Star Wars was watching it, because one, it was like the only thing we kind of had at the time, and it connected two distinct points in time between the movies. So I feel like Rebels might have not had that same following because it didn't connect two distinct points in time. It was just kind of like no one understood where the story was going or how it tied to anything forward linking. But speaking of what's watching, I have started a slow rewatch of the Rebels series, and I'm about halfway through season 1. And I kind of redact a little bit my previous statements on it being more kids like than Clone Wars, perhaps. I think it has a stronger start and gets to its footing faster than Clone Wars did. And has even less filler. I don't know. I the second go around here with Rebels definitely better places in my mind. So I would say I would even a stronger recommendation, and that's less of a drawback on it being a kid show.
Yeah, Rebels definitely gets to the point quicker, and like their episodes are a little more meaningful in terms of like content, being content rich, because like you said, Clone Wars, I mean, that's 7 seasons long at like 22 episodes a season. So there were a lot of like filler episodes. Not that they were bad. I enjoyed it all, but I did find at times Clone Wars felt like it was dragging to me, whereas Rebels, I was just like, I can't wait to watch the next episode because I know that it's going to continue the plot, right?
Yeah, Rebels is for sure a refinement of the Clone Wars palette.
Yeah. And I'm just like super excited because of all the like casting news and speculation for the Ahsoka show, live action show, that like it's literally Rebels 2.0 live action, except it's called Ahsoka and not Rebels.
Yeah, I can't remember if I told you to stop watching Rebels before or after Ahsoka showed up in The Mandalorian.
I don't remember the exact timing of everything
Yeah,
because I think I
but
started watching Rebels when Bo-Katan showed up because you're like, yeah, they're doing a lot of they seem to be doing some storylines from like Clone Wars and Rebels. And I was like, okay, I'll start with Rebels.
I think that's where I
Um,
started to think about it, and then there's also the rumors that Ahsoka was showing up. So I think it all kind of clustered there, and I was just like, "There's a lot of reasons for you to stop,
yeah,
um, to have a much better appreciation for some things."
yeah, and I think the big thing was like what happened at the end of season 2 of Rebels, like just
Oh
because
yeah,
and Ahsoka's not like a largely utilized character in Rebels. She makes her appearances here and there, and she's an important character, but like not one that's really gets much screen time or like has a lot of development or whatever. Um, but at the end there of season 2, her fight with Vader and then like realizing that it's Anakin. That I mean, like I had only seen memes about like Ahsoka and Anakin, so I didn't get the full context of like really how important that moment was. Um, so when I was texting you that, you're like, okay, you need the prequels and Clone Wars for context, like more context to finish Rebels out to make the most sense. Um, and that was definitely a great recommendation. So if you haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, definitely watch Clone Wars first and then watch Rebels. And if you haven't seen Rebels, sorry for spoiling the season 2 finale because that was a really dope moment. So yeah, just pretend like I didn't say any of that. But I mean, the show's kind of old, so sorry, not sorry. Um, yeah, that's kind of like the first thing I wanted to just get out of the way tonight because we talk a lot about Star Wars. I don't want it to be like the majority of the episode, but it's the majority of what I've been watching since the last time we did a What's Watching has been Star Wars. So I do have a couple other shows on here that I've been watching with Becca that I'm kind of excited to talk about. One in particular, but I want to hear what you're watching.
Okay, yeah, I can start somewhere here. I actually kind of chalked up a loose sectioned out list here. I kind of got three sections.
Okay,
Um, but I will say, I feel like you're rounding the bend here with Star Wars, right? Because you knocked obviously out the two big series. We're all
hmm
caught up on Mando. You really just have the original trilogy, and then
the sequels.
um,
Yeah,
the sequels. So
six movies. I plan on knocking out the original trilogy this weekend.
oh
Um,
yeah, that'll be good. Those are really good
yeah.
especially if you sit down and watch them with all the context that you have now.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm really excited that I watched in this order, though I kind of wish I would have instead of starting Rebels when I did in Mandalorian, I wish that like I would have just started at the prequels and went forward.
Hmm.
But even so, like I'm excited that I watched it in this way. Though I do wonder if the prequels would have been better or worse if I started like the way that everyone has, you know, like kept up with the live releases or like the actual releases and release dates of things. Um, so like, what do you think? Do you think I would have enjoyed the prequels and Clone Wars and Rebels more if I had seen like the original trilogy first, then then the prequels, and then Clone Wars, and then Rebels, and then the sequel trilogy? Or do you think I would have enjoyed it less?
After kind of running an experiment on your lack of Star Wars viewing and kind of seeing you kind of, you know, stumble through it and kind of figure out what made sense. I think I'm still a fan of the chronological order of the movies. So like I almost feel like the first movie everybody should watch is Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And start with the prequels and just watch it all chronologically. Because I don't know. I feel like, the prequels got a lot of hate because they weren't the original trilogy. And I feel like they are saved that unfair judgment by just watching them first for what they are.
Yeah.
Throwing Clone Wars obviously in there between episode 2 and 3. And it still saves a lot of, the only, really the only thing that the prequels spoil is, the whole Luke Vader thing. That's really about it. And that's obviously a 40-year-old spoiler at this point. So
Right.
I'm not, because like the machete order that I've mentioned before, it works to preserve that and other kind of like plot twists, if you will. And I just don't think it's worth it. I think it's completely worth watching them kind of in the timeline order.
Yeah. I'm sure that like if I had seen the original trilogy first and then the prequel stuff, like been like, oh, cool little Easter egg or nod to something that happened in the original trilogy. But starting, I have seen the original trilogy, but I was a small child, so like it's fuzzy. So basically, I'm coming at this almost from scratch, right? But I think now I might get this totally wrong, so I'm totally accepting of any hate or disdain that comes my way from this next comment. But the characters from the original trilogy, Luke doesn't show up until he's born at the very end of Revenge of the Sith. Vader's from the original trilogy, right? But like you get to see Anakin become Vader, so it kind of like adds a little more context to the way Vader is, I'm assuming, once you get to the trilogy. But like Obi-Wan is an old man in the original trilogy, and like is he around very long in the original trilogy? I'm not sure. Like Mace Windu is dead, right? So he's probably not in the original trilogy. Like Qui-Gon's dead, so like Maul's dead. Like all these characters that are in the prequels, I'm assuming this is what I might get hate for because I might be totally wrong because I don't remember all of the details. But like all these characters from the prequels are not really main characters with the exception of Vader in the original trilogy. So like I say that to say like if I'd seen the original trilogy first and then went back and watched this, maybe I would be happy to get a little Easter egg or a little nod or reference here or there. But I think starting at the prequels just helps build the whole world and like all the context to make the old stuff, more clear.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So I'm kind of glad that I'm doing it in this order. All that to say, I'm glad that I'm doing it this way.
Yeah, Star Wars has matured and grown so much since the prequels came out, right? So all those, that's almost like its own little completely separate section. Like you said, a lot of those characters don't even exist in the original trilogy. There's a lot of like cool tie-ons and like next generational things happening, but large in part two completely different stories outside the main Skywalker arc. And if anything, I think watching it in this order better places the original trilogy for people who haven't seen them, right? So you see all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden, like you watch Rogue One, right? And A New Hope picks up right where Rogue One left off. You're gonna see the 40-year technology film gap, but you're also gonna be watching this, very vintage and very good set of films from 40 years ago that still lives within this whole little universe, and it started it all. So to me, it just builds appreciation for the viewer to see all the other stuff and then get to the original trilogy instead of start off there. Because I feel like nowadays, if you start off, like for someone who hasn't seen any Star Wars and we're like, all right, watch A New Hope, you're kind of like, whatever. Like you might not have the same level of interest.
Yeah. I do appreciate, so I'll say three closing things. I know you can see me. Three closing things on Star Wars. First, you gotta give props to Senor Lucas when he made the original trilogy. The stones it took to just start a trilogy literally in the middle of a story with no context is so cool. And like kind of, I mean, obviously groundbreaking and revolutionary. But like, you know, since, as I've stated many times on the show, like once I get into something, like I'm in, then like I go deep. So I've been watching like a lot of YouTube clips of like interviews and him talking about Star Wars and all this stuff. But like just the fact that he was just like, yeah, I just wanted to like start with like this conflict and there not really be like a backstory. You're just kind of like thrown into the story and then everything kind of unravels, right? And like as a storyteller, I mean, I'm not a storyteller, but as someone who enjoys really good storytelling, like not everything necessarily needs to be explained for a movie to be great. And just the fact that like he just went for it back then just starts with A New Hope, and you already have this conflict with Vader and the Empire and all this stuff, and you didn't know why Vader was the way he was, and all that stuff kind of played out in the next two movies and whatnot. But things like that, super cool to me. Second point, out of everything I've seen so far, the Clone Wars period there, probably my favorite so far.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Clone Wars.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's just great. I love the whole concept of just mass armies on either side of completely replaceable warriors. You got the droids and the clones. So there's like no real consequence of the war, and it can just go on forever. Like that's a super cool storytelling thing. I love it. It's pretty great. And I loved how even though the Republic's army were millions of clones, like they kind of developed a bunch of the clones into actual characters that were really interesting. And some of my favorite characters so far in Star Wars have been clones. Like Captain Rex is awesome. Cody is awesome. The 501st, great. I'm excited for Bad Batch. You know, their little appearance in Clone Wars was really cool. Third and final thing, after watching Rogue One and beginning my Star Wars Funko Pop collection, I want to buy like every Funko Pop.
They just released a bunch of new ones.
Yeah. The good thing is I've noticed the Rogue One Funkos are kind of, there were a lot made, so they're kind of like relatively cheap in comparison to a lot of the other Funkos I've been looking at, particularly with Clone Wars and Captain Rex and Maul and all those. They're pretty pricey for Funko Pops. But yeah, my Funko Pop addiction is being fed, and it's
yeah. I mean, if you were running out of Funko Pops to buy, you just stumbled upon not only a meme bottomless pit, but a Funko treasure trove.
I know it's a sickness, man. Between my music stuff and Funko Pops, like I don't know how I have a house to live in.
Becca does a good job organizing things and making shelves, so
yeah, still trying to get that shelf. right up there.
Right up there.
But yeah, so
we digress.
What are you watching, Nick?
Yeah. We digress. All right, no more Star Wars. And like I said, I'm slowly watching Rebels just because you made me want to watch it. So a little bit of that. Aaron and I are crushing through Schitt's Creek. We are on season 5 of 6, I think.
Oh, progress.
And we started like maybe a month ago. I feel like we're doing like almost a season a week. Taking it a little slower right now just because it's good.
Mhm.
And while I think it's something we could easily rewatch, it's that good. We also are, I want to milk it a little bit just because it's a good watch for certain times. Good while you're eating. Good to just kind of have in the background. But overall, really, really great show. We watched like an episode when it first hit Netflix because basically it had 3 seasons before it hit Netflix, and then no one really knew about it. Then it went on Netflix, and it just like kind of started blowing up. So, but we couldn't really get into it for that like one episode for whatever reason. It was probably like a those moods where you're looking for something to watch and you can't quite click it. So it finally clicked, and it's hilarious. Great characters.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I was one of the people who I couldn't get into it. I tried to watch the first episode with Beck, and it didn't stick for me. She loved it and like destroyed it very fast, and like it. She loves it, talks about it all the time. So when you were talking, you talked about how you kind of want to milk it. You're trying to take your time. So that's something that comes up a lot when Becca and I find a show that we like. She likes to just plow right through it because she likes it and can't get enough of whatever it is that we're both, whatever show we land on that we both like. She just wants to see what happens next. So she's always the one that's like, let's watch another episode. All right, we've watched 2. Let's watch another episode. It's like, whoa, we're going on 3 hours of this show. Like, let's hold off for a bit. She's like, no, let's watch another one. Whereas I'm kind of like you, where if I find something that I really like that we like to watch together, because sometimes it's hard for us to find something that we both enjoy. I'm more of like, let's watch an episode or 2, and then like,
right. I feel like our wives have the tendency, and this might be a general kind of just basic quality, where they don't watch as many shows necessarily, or as wide of a range of shows. Let's put it that way. So when they find those shows that they do like, they just demolish them,
yeah.
Whereas I feel like we always have so much on our watch list, so much that we want to get to. It doesn't make functional sense to blow 3 hours of a day watching something that you enjoy with your wife or a significant other. So it's interesting that we both share that distinction there. But I mean, the sitcoms though, those are really easy to kind of crush through.
They really are.
And that, I guess, feel like they're easy to crush you, but I also like to save them just because they're always there. But this one I wasn't too mad about because I could easily see us just starting it all over again and having just as many laughs, if not maybe more, the second time around.
That's a good thing about sitcoms, though, is they have the rewatchability because it's just like a comedy thing, really.
Right.
That
I mean, Aaron's seen Friends maybe like 4 times, like all the way through. I've probably seen it collectively once through those 4 times that she has had it on.
Like there's just something about comedy that lends itself to replayability, because most of the time they hide like funny. They like there's so many layers to a good comedy, I should say. Good, It's got to be good. but there's usually so many layers that like you don't pick up on with just one watch. And like The Office is a good example of that. I'm not like the biggest fan of The Office, but like I'll watch it when it's on, and I've seen it a lot because it's another show that Becca absolutely loves. So she watched it like twice in a row. She pulled like Mr. Robot for me, like after the final season, then like immediately restarted it.
Funny.
Yeah, she basically watched it like twice in a row, like the whole
That's
thing.
insane.
Yeah,
Isn't that pretty long?
Yeah, it's several, like I want to say 9 seasons, but I might be wrong. There's a lot of seasons.
See, I watched that when it was on TV, so I know the whole story, but I feel like I'm missing chunks of it because I know
Yeah.
I hadn't seen every single episode, because I watched it while it was on TV, and that was before they had DVR and all that jazz. So if I
Right.
knew I missed some, so
Yeah, just looked. It is actually 9 seasons. I'm very shocked that I got that right. But yeah, I had a similar experience watching it the first time I watched it. I didn't watch it like as it aired, but it was currently airing, and we were watching DVDs of it. But like, I've seen the whole show probably collectively once, but like a lot of it multiple times, like in sporadic chunks, unintentionally. But yeah, shows like Schitt's Creek or The Office or
I think
Scrubs is one of the sitcom
Yeah.
that I used to love. Like, you can just rewatch them over and over again, and they'll be just as enjoyable or even more enjoyable because you'll pick up on the things that you might have missed the first time.
Yeah, because usually as those series go on, you tend to drift towards certain characters, or you understand the characters more. So then when you go back and rewatch like the first seasons, you're like, I really like this character. I now see how much more funny they were because I missed it because I was still trying to understand the show.
Yeah. And one thing that I noticed a lot for me is like, excuse me, growing up, probably from like middle school on, watched a lot of sitcoms with like my mom and dad. Big one being like that 70s show. Scrubs, I watched towards the end of high school, I think.
I watched Scrubs like by myself because I enjoyed that show.
Oh, that's great. But like smaller sitcoms that, I mean, they might just be smaller to me because I was young and barely remember them, but they like left a lasting impression that I remember them now in my 30s. But shows like Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, Grounded for Life, shows like that I watched when I clearly did not understand like the humor that much. I still thought they were kind of funny back then, but like a good example is that 70s show a couple years ago. Becca and I started watching it because it was on Netflix, and like it was like 100 times more funny because I'm an adult now, so like I understand all of the humor. So like even like that, when you have long periods of time between your views, can just make something funnier because you understand things better.
Yeah, for sure. And while we're on here, I'll knock out another one on my list real quick. I am creeping through the last season of Community, Big Sad, just because I really like that show. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but there's a reason I'm taking it slow on the last one. But I think about halfway, it's gonna end soon. But that might be another one I might try to squeeze a second watch in.
Yeah. That's actually a great segue into one of the shows on my list, is Community.
Yes,
Becca and
sir.
I started watching that. We're flying through it, kind of.
Yeah.
Just because, short 20-minute episodes. So on nights we're able to watch TV. It's not uncommon to pound out like 5 or 6 in a viewing because that's only like 2 hours, right? But yeah, I don't want to like talk too much about Community because shameless plug for a future episode. we're gonna have an episode here coming up soon where we talk about our favorite sitcoms. So this is gonna make my list. So I don't want to like reveal too much or like talk too much about why I love this show so much, but
Yeah.
The cast and characters are brilliant. Dan Harmon is a genius, and yeah, it's a great show, and I'm really sad that I didn't take my friend Ryan's advice many years ago, and he was like, "Hey, start watching the show Community. It's really funny. You should watch it." And I was like, "Whatever. It looks kind of dumb." And then I never watched it. And so sorry, Showboys member number 04.
Well,
Should have listened to you.
my only point on Community will be that Community by like season 2, like by the time season 2 is in full swing, all of a sudden I was like, this is a completely different show than what I started watching in season 1. The way it evolves and takes off just completely changes the format on you, and all of a sudden you're like, what am I watching anymore?
Yeah. It I will admit it took like 2 episodes for me to like really like for it to really get me. But yeah, like you're saying about maybe even sooner to like halfway through season 1, you're just like,
Right.
This is pretty much a community college live action version of like Rick and Morty. Like it just starts to get
it loses itself in
ridiculous.
The meta. Yeah. It loses itself in the fourth wall metaverse that it operates in.
Yeah. So good. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and talk some more about yours, because due to all of the Star Wars watching I've been doing, I only have one more thing on my list. So
okay. So
yeah, hit me up with what you've been indulging yourself with.
Yeah, so and I'll just preview my other 2 sections that I'll want to dive into after this. So I have a need to watch section coming up.
Okay.
I'm sure you can fill out a need to watch section, and I have a lame not worth it section. So I might start doing that more often, because there's just things out there that I'm just like, lame, trash, move on.
So like, are these things that you started?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah. And kind of just found them browsing through my like Netflix, like watch it again history, and it just kind of brought flashbacks. I'm just like, I need to let people know at least how I feel about these things.
Steer clear. No, that's good. You're doing a public service, Nick.
Yeah, I really feel I am. There's just so much out there, and we need to start letting people know when there is bad stuff.
That's right.
Even though I try not
come to Showboys for all of your viewing recommendations and warnings. We're here for you. We do this for you.
It's hard though, because we're also so select about what we watch. Like most of the stuff we watch is just good. So not that it's our own horn, but whatever. So the things that I am watching, I'll just knock them both out just because I don't need to spend a lot of time on one of them. So we watched Enola Holmes last night. Girl from Stranger Things, and obviously Superman.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Too legit to quit.
Yeah. And Superman's in it, old Henry. His face just attracts viewership. So it was good. It wasn't a very like gravitating watch, but it was a fun watch. Nothing groundbreaking, nothing like over the top special.
Is this something you watched with Aaron?
Yes.
Okay.
She was on her phone most of the time, so I don't think she liked it all that much, or it just wasn't interesting enough. It just did not have that gravity.
Yeah.
It needed. But it had good actors. Had Tim Burton's wife in there, and a handful of other people. So it was good. Just not a heavy hitter. Definitely passable, I will say. Watch it if you have 2 hours, but pass if you can.
So, this is what Becca and I do when we go to the movies. Okay, I'm gonna let you in on a little Courtney family secret, or it's not really secret. It's like our tradition. And you can see me right now because I have video in our little Discord room here. But listeners, you can't see me, so I'm gonna describe it to you as I'm showing Nick. So one of our favorite things to do is to go to the movie theater and watch movies. We haven't been able to, obviously, due to the pandemic. And even before the pandemic, with two children that were, 2 and 4 at the time, kind of hard to land a babysitter and justify paying a babysitter, getting dinner, and going to the movies. I mean, you're looking at like over $100. I'm not a millionaire, so if we couldn't secure some free grandparent babysitting, odds of us hitting the theater were slim, which is really sad because it's pre-kids. That was like our favorite thing, our go-to date night. We did it at least once a week, and we love it. But anyways, one of our favorite parts of going to the movies is catching all the trailers beforehand. And as we're watching the trailers, this is so dumb, but we used to do it all the time. And then even now, when we've taken our daughters to go see movies, we've started doing it with them. But when after a trailer finishes, we'll just kind of like look at each other, and either like if it's something we want to see, we'll do the thumbs up. If it's something that looks totally garbage, we'll do the thumbs down. And then if it's like, maybe I'll see it, we'll do the little side thumb action, right? So I tell that story to say it sounds like Enola Holmes to you is a little side thumb.
Yeah, side thumb action.
Okay.
I was happy I checked it off my watch list. Let's say that. It wasn't one I wanted to just kind of leave unwatched forever. Mostly because of the cast, the premise of it. The sister of Sherlock Holmes has potential, but
does RDJ, does he make a little cameo?
No, because Henry Cavill is Sherlock.
Lame.
Yeah, wasn't the greatest fit. Maybe a younger Sherlock. I don't know. It was a fair attempt, but oh well. Fun watch, but not that great. But on a more interesting note, same country. I've been watching Peaky Blinders.
Hey.
And that is really good. Really good. Different too. Like the way the story kind of unfolds, and I feel like some episodes have a different opening, and even sometimes there's like in season 1, the episode before the finale completely seemed like the finale. It was really weird. So I was like, oh, that was the end of the season, but nope, there's one more episode. So they do some different things, and I like that there are 6 episode seasons. So I feel like that's very digestible, and I kind of like things like that. So hour-long episodes. I took Gino's advice and turned on subtitles. I like trying to understand them, but it also makes it easier just because it's one of those shows with the audio discrepancies where like they talk really quiet sometimes they're really freaking loud.
Then the action like blows the speakers of your TV out.
Yeah. And I get it because sometimes like they're just trying to catch the fact that they're talking quietly, but then the next second they're like yelling at someone about to shoot them.
Yeah, and the accents.
Yeah.
Pretty thick. 2 C's.
Yeah, really thick. And it's not even like the accents, it's like the what their vernacular, right? The things they say and what they're trying to get to. And then I'm also pleasantly surprised at like some of the new characters. I'm into season 2 now. Tom Hardy's in it. I don't think that's a spoiler, but that's like that's a cool thing. And then I even see in like the thumbnail another actor that's familiar to me. I'm excited to get to. who's in a lot of HBO things.
Nice.
So no, that's a really, really good show. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I started and really enjoyed, but for whatever reason, it got lost in the shuffle.
They're full hour episodes. Maybe at night, like tendency to fall asleep. It's you got to pick the time and place and like just crush an episode and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I totally intend to return to it. I couldn't even tell you like what knocked it out of the watch cadence, but it wasn't because of the content. I enjoyed it very much so, and I really like the guy that plays old Tom Shelby, Cillian Murphy. I hope I
Yes.
said his name right, but I really enjoy him. I loved him in 28 Days Later.
Yeah, I like him in everything he's in, and I always just think of him as the Scarecrow from Batman
Yeah,
Begins. And
true.
I liked him in that, and I wish he was more in that trilogy. But he just showed up as the judge
Yeah.
in the Bane one. But yeah, no, I like
Side
him.
Sidebar: Scarecrow, very interesting character. Would love to see him more in Batman movies.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So these are all in your what was your category again?
This is my what's watching category.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you broke out into your subcategories yet or not.
No, I'm gonna let you finish your what's watching before I start roasting things.
Okay. So are those all of your shows you've been watching?
Yes, sir. That
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. So my last one is a show that Becca and I finished. It was probably it was at the end of 2020, so a month or two ago. We kind of flew through it. It was so good. A show called Wayne, and it's on Amazon Prime. Another recommendation by our friend Gino. So Gino, if you're listening, I doubt you are, but if you are, this guy's like our Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, or Woj of TV shows. And I know you don't follow any of the sports balls, but those are all like inside sources, reporters, like always, reporting the scoop, on the big sport happenings and stuff. So he's kind of like always giving me like all these shows I've never heard of that are phenomenal. So anytime Gino recommends anything, Nick, I would just watch it because it's probably good. But yes, he recommended Wayne, and I'm so glad that I decided to watch it because it was one of my favorite shows of 2020 for sure. It's a dark comedy, has a very gritty vibe to it, and it's about a high schooler named Wayne. And you could barely call him a high schooler because pretty like he never showed up and was pretty much a dropout. But you follow Wayne on his journey to get his late father's stolen car with the help of a girl that he's crushing on. And it debuted, actually, this is one of those few YouTube premium shows when YouTube was trying to like make their own stuff. Back in January of 2019, and then it got canceled in August of 2019. Basically, all of the YouTube stuff got canceled because they decided to stop doing it. But it was picked up by Prime in November of 2020. And since it's been added to Prime, it's picked up a lot of traction, and like everyone who watches it loves it. It's has ridiculous ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Out of 12 critic ratings, it has 100%, which is kind of bonkers. And out of 325 audience ratings on Rotten Tomato, it has a 98%. So it's like one of those few shows that's just loved by everyone, critics and just your regular schmucks like me. yeah, the cast is phenomenal. It's wonderfully acted. Uh, the visuals are great. Like I said, it's like very gritty and raw, but like has a lot of cool cuts and like scene transitions and edits, which I love. It's really funny and very dark, but also is one of those shows that kind of throws in a lot of like sweet, heartfelt moments um, that land. You know, if, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of shows that are
Yeah.
funny or dark will try to throw in like a meaningful moment, and it's just like really you're trying to do that after all of the crazy stuff that I've just watched. But this show does a good job of actually like nailing those moments and making you feel, which is a good thing. I loved it.
Making you feel. I have no feeling.
That's right. So I'll do a quick rundown of the cast. A lot of these are unknown, uh, actors or actresses, at least to me. Mark McKenna plays the main character Wayne, and he's phenomenal. Sierra Bravo plays Dell, who is the girl that Wayne has a crush on, and she's actually in the new Tom Holland movie Cherry. If you've seen anything about that, she knocks it out of the park in this show. So I'm actually, really looking forward to Cherry and seeing her in there because she's amazing. I hope she starts appearing in a lot more things. We have Stephen Kieran as Sergeant Geller, like phenomenal side character, so funny, steals every scene that he's in. Dean Winters is Dell's father, and you would know Dean Winters from the insurance commercials. I forget exactly what company it is, but the Mayhem commercials where he's just like always the
Yes.
thing that goes wrong. That's Dean
His name's
Winters.
yeah, his name is familiar too.
Yeah, he's great in this show. He's such a douchebag and like one of those characters that you hate for all the right reasons, and that being that he is able to portray an actual scumbag who is very well written. John and Jamie Champagne are Dell's brothers, and they're hysterical. Mike O'Malley is Principal Cole from Wayne's high school, and he's probably most well known for some sitcoms back in the early 2000s. My Name is Earl and Yes Dear. Again, like every person I just rattled off there, every scene they're in is just through the roof, amazing, funny.
But this isn't about high school Bruce Wayne, right?
No, is he in Gotham? Is
High
Mark
school?
McKenna?
No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
okay. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah,
Wayne. No. This takes
that's what
place.
I thought this show was. I thought it was another Batman. Like,
I mean, that's a great guess, knowing what I enjoy and then putting that with a title. That's a good guess. Not gonna lie. But no, this does not take place in Gotham. This actually takes place in Boston, uh, which their accents are amazing, especially because I believe Mark McKenna is Scottish or Irish or something. But his Boston accent is great. The opening theme to the song is phenomenal. And it's one of those, Prime kind of gets a lot of slack amongst all the streaming services, but they do have a lot of like hidden gems,
oh,
like
for sure.
within the cesspool of Prime, and this is definitely one of them. So I hope if you or anyone listening has not seen Wayne and does have Prime, like this needs to be moved to the top of your watch list. It's only one season. Hopefully, with the traction that it's gotten since it was picked up by Prime, hopefully it'll get renewed for a second season. I don't think there are any plans at this current moment. With that being said, go watch the show, get those numbers up, get those ratings up, so there's more of a reason for Prime to pick this up for a second season. It ends on a note, story wise, that lens to more of the show. So hopefully we'll be able to see the story finished. Yeah, it's just an amazing show. I'm excited for you if you do watch it. I'm excited to hear what you think about it.
I might hit up on my next Prime cycle.
Yeah.
After
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say after The Boys was my big Prime stint of recent, and then I hopped back to some other things.
Yeah, I mean, Prime just like has literally like they just put anything on Prime. Like
There's some good stuff on there.
I'm sure you and I could just like do something on our phones, throw it together real quick, and go to Amazon, and they'll probably pick it up. So that's like cool in a sense that like a lot of people have opportunities to create content, and you never know what you'll be able to experience as a viewer. But the majority of the time, it's all garbage and complete waste of time to watch. So every once in a while, you're able to find something really cool on Prime. This is one of them. The Boys is one of them. Carnival Row is one of them. There's a show called Hand of God, which was okay. I wouldn't put that in the same league as all of the last 3 shows I rattled off, but yeah, every once in a while I like to spend 20, 30, 45 minutes just scrolling through the directory of Prime, and every once in a while you stumble on a gem. So thanks, Gino.
Big shout out, Gino.
That's right. But yeah, that was really those are the things I'm watching. And I guess like as you were talking, I kind of threw together my own little subcategory of things that I want to return to watching, or maybe things that I want to start watching once I rattle off these last few Star Wars movies.
Okay.
So let's hear what you got next for me.
Yeah, so this is all this is all going to be Netflix material.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what one is the most tangible for me to go after next. I think I really want to watch Hannibal on Netflix, which is a prequel series to Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that's on Netflix now?
Yeah. And it's got Mads Mikkelsen is Hannibal. And it just looks good, partly because I like him as an actor, and two, Hannibal Lecter is a great story. So it just looks good. I'm not sure how good it is because I don't know anyone that watches it, but I'm willing to take that first step.
I've heard decent things about it. I remember when it came out, I was listening to a podcast called The Indoor Kids, and it was about video games and such. Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon. I don't know if those names sound familiar to you, but Kumail is a stand-up comedian and actor who is about to be in the Marvel movie The Eternals, and Emily Gordon is his wife, and they actually Kumail's had a few minor roles in some comedies. He was in Stuber, which was kind of funny. Him and Dave Bautista, but they actually, Kumail and Emily made a movie called Lovesick, I believe is the title, which is actually the story of their relationship and everything, and which was pretty good. Anyways, they used to talk about Hannibal a lot on the Indoor Kids when it first came out, and I remember wanting to watch it, but for whatever reason didn't. But now that you say it's on Netflix, I will have to add it to my list.
Very good. Yeah. That might be the next thing I start watching. We'll see how far I get along in it. I think I have an animated pick here, or an animation anime. Castlevania is a Netflix original. Believe it's about Dracula and all that fun ethos.
I wonder how closely tied to the game it is.
I don't know. It's been on my watch list for a little bit now, just because once you get into like the anime section of like Netflix, they recommend all the other ones. So I was just like browsing that one day, and I've heard good things about Castlevania. And the animation style looks cool, obviously. So good concept. An anime about, Dracula and stuff. I just feel like that's a very good space and way to kind of address that kind of character, or like those kind of characters, right? It's not Twilight, it's not the live action Dracula. I feel like anime would be a good fit for that type of story.
Right. I think Chad brought that up on one of the episodes he was on. Sounds familiar.
Could be it. Yeah, I think I've been slowly collecting suggestions on that one, just because I don't start watching anime without a lot of good suggestions to go watch it. Not sure why. I like to really kind of let people build those up for me, and then basically like tell me I have to watch them. So that's
Right.
another one. I'm hoping to circle around to Barbarians, which you said you watched. It's been on my watch list since that came out, and I feel like it's short and brief enough that I can knock it out real quick.
Yes. I forget exactly how many episodes, maybe 6, but it was short.
Yeah, and I want to get ahead of that because I feel like it might be an anthology series. So don't want to get too far behind on those.
I enjoyed that one. I forget, there was a period right before Mandalorian, or like even during Mandalorian, but like before the whole Star Wars thing happened, where I watched, I think 2 or 3 period piece shows like right in a row. That was one of them. I can't recall. Oh, the other one was La Revolution, which was interesting, but took like a turn that I didn't really expect. Not that it was necessarily bad, but it was not what I expected. It was still a good show that I would recommend. But yeah, Barbarians, that was a good one.
Good. Yeah, I knew you felt good about that one, so I need to squeeze that in at some point.
It is. I will warn you. It is in. I believe it's a German show.
That's right.
So either watch with subtitles, or the English dub over isn't terrible.
Okay. I think that was a drawback on it, is I wasn't ready to take on a subtitle show at the time.
Yeah. La Revolution was similar. That's a French show, obviously. But yeah.
Then Sherlock with Cumberbatch, the series, I believe it was a BBC series which is on Netflix.
Yes.
That's been on my watch list for a while, just because enjoy Cumberbatch, and then after watching Enola Holmes and getting a little bit of Sherlock-ness in there, it reminded me that I need to watch that. So hoping to get that locked in at some time in the future. And then kind of upset at Erin for this one, but she just like smashed through Queen's Gambit without me. I didn't know what it was about. She was just like watching it, and then she like watched the whole thing and then tells me, she's like, "Oh, it's really good. It's about playing chess." I'm like, "Oh, the thing that I literally wish you played with me, and we should get a chessboard so I could teach you how to play that." Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks. So that's on a my watch list. Could have been on our watch list, but no. Those are all things I kind of want to get at.
Okay.
I don't know when I'm going to get to them though.
I know the feeling. Yeah, so the 3, well, I should just say 1, because you already talked about Peaky Blinders and you brought up Hannibal. I want to I want to get back to Peaky and actually finish it, get more than I think I got like 2 episodes in. I want to start Hannibal, so thank you for reminding me about that show. And then I was on this Fargo hype train.
Yeah, you were.
Season 4 came out, and I think I watched the first episode. And
Fell asleep.
being an FX show and on Hulu, it's a weekly release cadence.
Mm.
And I believe it started right around the time maybe that Mandalorian did. So it just got lost in the shuffle. But I love Fargo, and I want to watch season 4.
What's that on again? You said FX and Hulu?
Yep.
Okay. I need to do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to cycle back into Hulu. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I haven't really, since my Fargo binge, I haven't been on Hulu in a minute myself. So you're right. I tend to go streaming service like in cycles, right?
Yeah.
I'll spend like a month or 2 or 3 on one, particularly hammering one platform, which is nice because then by the time you circle around back to the other ones, there's like a whole slew of shows that are new or maybe that you discarded before or something.
Well, on your next cycle back to Hulu to go watch Fargo season 4, grab the wife and start watching Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that. I'm
Gotta happen.
writing that down as we speak. I bet that's a little too serious and dark for Becca though. That'll be a Becca on the phone show.
Yes and no. Erin's kind of the same. Erin enjoys watching. She will pop on her phone at it occasionally, but it's also I think maybe it's just so interesting because it's about women in a very dystopian future.
Mm.
So there might be a little bit of pull there for her to be engaged with the story.
Nice. I'll definitely give it a try. I'll pitch the idea.
Pitch it.
I'm predicting it being shot down.
Pitch meeting.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So what's your last section? What are the side thumbs in Nick's lives right now? Nick's life.
So side thumb for sure. Blood of Zeus, Netflix original animation.
Sorry about that. I think that was one I brought up.
There's a handful of people that recommended it to me, and I even recommended it to myself because it looked cool. And at the time, I was kind of doing that Netflix anime cycle. So the first, it starts off really good, I think. But like as the story kind of pieces together and connects itself, it kind of loses oomph for me. And I don't know, the mid to end is just super boring to me. Maybe a little drawn out too. And maybe it jumps too much. I don't know. It just was not clicking for me. So that's almost like I'd skip unless unless you really like anime and that's like mostly what you watch, like 70%, then you can watch it. But I will give that a good sideways thumb. And then this is super random, and I don't know why this popped up in it, but it reminded me of some things. So I really have no idea who John Mulaney is. I assume people think he's funny. He was on SNL like late last year at some point. I did not think he was funny, so I tried to watch his stand up on Netflix, and I still did not think he was funny. So I'm trying to figure out, is he funny? Because I hear his name a lot, and I think he's popular, but I just don't know. So do you have like any intel for me on if this guy's really funny or not, and I'm just missing something?
Wow. He he kind of looks like man, the Scott brothers from HGTV. Wow, that was a really lame reference. Let me see if I'm even referring to the right.
Oh my god.
All right, I gotta make sure. Property Brothers.
Yeah, the property. I knew who you're talking about. That's
You know
even
who I'm
more
talking
lame.
about?
Yeah.
Where did I get Scott? Is one of
He's
they're
like,
not even is their last name Scott? I feel like it is.
I don't know, but
Yeah, Drew and Jonathan Scott. Okay,
wow,
vindication.
you
I was
knew their
right.
last name. That's worse. Okay, but
Doesn't he kind of look like?
he definitely looks like their younger brother because they're twins. So he's like the younger brother of them.
Yeah. Yes. But to answer your question, I don't know if I've seen anything really that he's in. So I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for you.
Cool. No worries. I'll just chalk it up as he's not funny. Sorry.
I mean, he was on a show called Funny as Hell, and the Very Funny Show.
See, a little too much, a little too direct there, trying to be funny because when all your stuff has to say funny in it, I don't know.
Yeah. Good point. Oh, that's great.
So yeah, so
Noted.
I
Stay
would
away
avoid
from John Mulaney.
yeah, John Mulaney and Blooded Zeus. Those are staying away from unless you are a diehard for either of those categories, anime and stand-up comedy.
However, I would not recommend staying away from the Property Brothers. If you're suckered into watching any HGTV, that is one of the shows that I could actually stomach.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree. I back you up there.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have the obvious Chip and Joanna, right?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with them. Wow, Becca would be so proud of me if
I know.
she listened to the podcast.
I know. She needs to excerpt this bit right here and put it on her story.
Yeah, get all them DIY listeners. Man,
Yeah,
they would be so disappointed.
I like them because their projects and their houses and their whole setup seems a little bit more realistic in my mind. And the way they kind of like split it up works, I think. And I occasionally like learn stuff when the one brother is like talking about like house remodeling and stuff. And I just find myself sitting there like just watching.
Yeah.
More than I imagine I would.
Yeah, I still love those shows though, because they're like, yeah, I'm a beekeeper and I'm a Etsy yarn knitter for butterflies. Our budget's $3 million. And it's like, okay.
That's the hook. That's the hook because like first you see the people, then you kind of like hear where they're at, right? They're in like Boston. I don't know if that shows in a particular area or not. But then you're like, all right, what's this budget gonna be, and what are these houses, you know? But sometimes my favorite thing is when I think we're skewed because we live in we live in a very rural part of the country, semi-rural, right, in Ohio.
Cost of living not that high.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, my budget's $2.5 million, and here's what we got for you." And it's literally like a townhouse, like smashed between a bunch of other things. And I'm like, "Oh, for $2.5 million here, I could literally have a mansion."
Yeah, and like
an estate and
200 acres of land, like yeah, it's insane. Hey, always a good laugh, you know.
So I'd probably be like, hey, budget's $2.5 million. Let's go to Ohio or many other places. I don't know. Yeah, cost of living in the cities.
It's absurd.
But yeah, like you said, you know,
I sharpen pencils.
Like, what do you do?
People don't even use pencils anymore.
Beekeepers get paid a lot in urban areas, I guess.
Apparently. Yeah. So do you have any other sideways thumbs, like watch at your own risk?
I don't think so. I try to stay away from those in the first place.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah, and I try to limit myself to those because sometimes I will admit, like just because I can't get into something doesn't mean it's not good, and you know I never want to be that person. So
yeah, but you know, it's good that you made this PSA.
Yeah, Gotta let people know the good word.
Yes. So, guys. Well, first off, were you gonna say something? Because I rudely cut you off, and I apologize.
Now, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say partly what's watching was not as this list wasn't as vibrant as I liked it to be, but I've been playing a lot of games. Ugh. So I'm trying to run a balance here.
Yeah, you save those. You save those.
Oh, I know, and I'm not going to talk about it, but I'm just saying. I kind of had to scrape this list together, and I'm actually surprised of how much stuff I am watching. So thank goodness for Schitt's Creek and being able to watch that with Aaron.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how I'm pushing through Peaky Blinders because usually that stuff, that's my late night watch, and usually I pass out watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how good it is. It
No,
doesn't.
that's funny though, because similarly, replace your video games with my continual binge of Star Wars. I had a similar feeling coming into tonight.
Right.
I was like, oh, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Star Wars the whole time.
Welcome to Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to talk about Star Wars the whole time, but for
All
the
right.
sake of our listeners, like I don't want to rehash all of that again. So I was like,
cue the music. Then we're going to talk about Star Wars for another 45 minutes.
Yes, for all of you Patreon. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, really, my list was 2 shows, and one of the shows was a show I watched like 2 months ago. So I was like, but
we could have changed the topic to Star Wars.
No. This we need to have these shows. I like these ones. The general catch everyone up, catch each other up on what we're watching.
It's just being honest. What are we watching? Mike's watching freaking Star Wars.
That's right. But I like doing it because, even though we like and have similar tastes and like similar things, we're different enough to where there's a good amount of shows and things that fall outside of that common circle in the Venn diagram, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So it always gives me, not that I need more things to add to my list, but it always gives me more things to add to my list, and hopefully provides our listeners with a wide array of things that they can check out. But yeah, what I was about to say when I very rudely interrupted you. Pains of doing podcasting remotely. We're just going to give you guys a sneak peek of what you can expect from the Discord server. So, it launches today, Monday. It becomes live in public Monday. But obviously, the server's been created, and we use it for recording, and we, have slowly started to build and add, people, moderators, people to help us out and running the Discord server and be a part of the Showboys team. So they have access as of when we're recording this, which is Thursday. And one of the things you can expect as a member of the Showboys community is, interaction and engagement with us. So I threw the question up in our Answer the Boys channel, asking what our mods are currently watching, because that's what we're talking about tonight. So let's ask our members what they're watching, and maybe we can talk about what they're watching, And we got some submissions. So our what's his exact title? Mod the Lesser.
He's one of our lesser mods.
Yes. Limes 314, aka Luke, my buddy pal. He's watching C-SPAN because he's a giant dweeb, and I couldn't agree with him more.
I don't know. I think we can harness that somehow. I feel like we can have a C-SPAN update briefing on our episode weekly to try and bring some more traffic to C-SPAN.
That's a big thumbs down.
Okay.
At best, maybe a side thumb, but not even a full side thumb, where like this, like 3/4 or like 45-degree angle between thumbs down and side thumb.
How about we do it like while you go get water, I'll do it, before the show starts, and it can be like a bonus 5-minute clip that gets released.
Yes, we tag that at the beginning or end of the newscast, an actual newscast.
Oh, we should also make Luke just record it like monotone, and it's
Yes.
basically just a clip that plays.
I like it. It's a great idea. But Luke, my friend, man, I hope you listen to this episode and we give you some ideas of things to watch that aren't C-SPAN.
Welcome to the community, so vibrant.
Yes, where we just make fun of you. No, I'm just kidding. And then, the chief mod himself, Showboys member number 04, Ryan, my pal. He's watching Fresh Prince. Great show.
I wonder if that's a rewatch.
I would hope so. Though I can't really speak because I've only seen chunks here and there. But
his other suggestion, though, should have made it to my watch list because I keep seeing it on Disney Plus, and I'm getting more and more intrigued to watch it.
Yes, WandaVision. I haven't cracked that one open yet. I really gotta knock out this Star Wars stuff before I can really start cracking stuff open. But
yeah, you're so close.
It's definitely it's near the top of the watch list for sure. I've heard nothing but good things. I'm a fan of the MCU. They're starting to tie in shows. I'm on board for that. So thank you guys. Thanks for chiming in. And right now, that's like 100% engagement ratio right there.
Yeah, it is.
So, you guys, after listening to this episode and joining the Discord server, got some big shoes to fill. You got some work to do. Keep up with these guys, and we're really looking forward to this type of interaction because that's kind of why we do the podcast. We like to hear from you guys, so really looking forward to that. Yeah, I think that kind of like wraps up the episode. What do you think?
Yeah, that's about it. Though I would like to say, kind of like, I have some thoughts about Discord recently. Lately, for the past few months, I'll see throughout 2020, I've heavily weaned myself off of social media, almost to the detriment of promoting this podcast. Just because I am just not on it. I'm probably on social media in total less than 1 hour a day now, maybe even less than that. But in its place, slowly rising, is Discord, as I am a part of a handful of servers now, each with their own specific use, group of people. Each one we talk about specific things. Obviously, there's the Showboys one, which is becoming much more active, and I hope it to become more and more active. So if there's anywhere that I spend a lot of time interacting with people, it's mostly, through Discord, whatever it might be. So I think it is becoming an evolved form of social media where people are way more intrigued to like really get to the good stuff that they like and completely weed out all the crap that is out there in kind of your mainstream social media.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a great way to join a community of something you're interested in, and you don't have people trying to report news. You don't have to worry about like being bogged down and loaded up with political crap unless
the
you join
gifts always work.
I mean, it depends on what server you join, but yeah, I could definitely see Discord kind of replacing social media in a lot of a lot of different ways and areas. It's definitely fun for building communities like this. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And so I guess we can just give a little rundown of some things to expect that are coming up soon, episode wise, because we have some loose plans that we're really excited about. You cool with doing that, Nick? Like, cool with running down some of our future episodes here? You mind if I do that, or should we keep it a secret?
Let me pop open. Yeah, let's do that. Let's tease some of these. Looks like
All right.
we're already pushing up hot into February, man.
I know. We got the newscast 2 days from now, Wednesday.
Boom, boom, boom.
Coming at you hot, episode 2. Hope you enjoyed the first one. It was fun to do. Then, the very first episode of February, we're going to be joined by the crew from Be Hero Fights podcast, which was a really fun podcast that I was fortunate enough to appear on around Halloween. Their show is really entertaining, and Tom and Brian, the hosts over there, are really cool, funny dudes. Put on a good show. Their whole shtick over there is debating each other on various topics. The show that I appeared on, I actually debated Brian on whether or not The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween or a Christmas movie, and it was so fun. So we're going to have them on. We're going to interview them like we did Mick, get to learn about their show and what got them interested in podcasting, and, hopefully touch on some Showboys related topics, see what they're watching. We got a What's Playing coming up soon. Those are starting to release the second Monday of every month. And yeah, I think we're going to talk about our top 5 games of all time. What?
That's crazy. We are
of all time?
That's scary.
It is. That's going to be that might be a 3-hour show.
Maybe we just list them off and leave 5-minute show.
Exactly. Then we got another newscast. Then what's in February? Valentine's Day. What's that mean? Are we going to talk about rom-coms? I don't even know how I'm going to talk about rom-coms because I hate rom-coms. But
yeah, it's gonna be rough. We might need a guest for that one.
Yes. Speaking of guests, wow, that I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that segue was gold. I'm gonna have my wife on, hopefully, for an episode where we talk about our top 3 sitcoms. And I'm actually super looking forward to that. Community has ignited an old flame for me in sitcoms. So
watch our rom-coms and sitcoms episodes are gonna be the most viewed ever. Absolutely just the best content we've ever released, and we're just gonna be like, damn it.
Yeah, well, I already know the episode with Becca probably is gonna be that, just because she's low-key Instagram famous. So hopefully we can mooch those sweet listens off of my dear wife Becca. But yeah, really excited about all the things coming up in February. Hopefully we'll be able to start our live stream soon. But yeah, I mean, you got anything else you want to say?
I do not.
All right. Join our Discord. Follow us on social media. Like, rate, subscribe wherever you listen to our episodes. And don't forget to share with your friends. It's the easiest way you can help us grow and continue to grow.
Subscribe.
It's free, but it really helps us out. You can find all of our links at linktr.ee/showboyspodcast. We're at Showboys Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. We're really excited about the future of the podcast and some of the things we're going to be doing. And we just hope that you will come along the ride with us. Look forward to seeing you in Discord. And until next time, have a good one.
We are the Show Boys. Cue the music. Okay, how do we do these episodes again? Speaking of which, something that's coming up in the super, super, super far future for anyone that's still listening. Be on the lookout for the Show Boys video game.